So thank you very much, and this is the second session. In the first session, we have provided some background of the smart supply chain. And in this session, we have extremely distinguished speakers. And let me read about their background. We have with us Colonel Ashwani Sindhwani, who is the National Security Manager at DHL Express India Private Limited. He is an Army veteran with over 30 years of experience in operations and logistics management. While in the Army, he has held important posts of Joint Director Logistics and Director Logistics and Administration. He established supply chain for soldiers in different areas involving network designing, tendering, transportation management, contract management, and many other things. He introduced innovation to make supply chain smart and flexible. And as we know that logistics origin and as a discipline has a background in the defense services, especially during the World War. But after leaving Army, Ashwani joined Rolta India as VP Business Development. After that, he joined DHL Express as National Head Operations Resilience. He has completed MSc in Operations Management from University of Madras and MBA from Chandigarh, along with postgraduate diploma in Supply Chain Management from CIA Institute of Logistics, Chennai. He is the Certified Internal Auditor for Occupational Health and Safety Management. So he is with us. Then the next speaker is Mr. Bhabajit Nandi. Mr. Nandi is basically Supply Chain Security Manager, APAC and Microsoft Device Group. He is the Regional Supply Chain Security Manager for Microsoft Asia Pacific region with over 21 years of rich experience in government and corporate sector. He has wide exposure in the area of counter insurgency, counter subversion, law enforcement, site security, and warehouse management. During his 9-year-old tenure with Nokia India and post-integration of organizations with Microsoft, he has handled vast range of physical security and supply chain related assignments and responsibilities in India, Middle East, East Africa, and he now leads the supply chain security operations at Asia Pacific region. Then we have very distinguished panelist, Mr. Herdial Singh, who is the Director, Quality and Business Excellence, Asia Pacific region, Agility Logistics Services Private Limited. He is a TAPA certified expert and board member since 2012. He has been active member of TAPA Asia Change Control Council, CCB, and participated in Worldwide Congress Control Board for the 2012-13 and has conducted numerous TAPA, FSR and TSR trainings within the region since 2011. He was nominated as TAPA Asia's lead of training working committee for 2014-15. He was instrumental in the review and the final approval of TAPA facility security requirement 2014 and trucking security requirement 2014 training packages. He is a regional director for quality and business excellence of Agility Logistics in 2009, a highly qualified specialist for quality, environment, health, safety and security management system with a comprehensive internal experience as an advanced practitioner in the implementation of quality and other related things. Then we have Mr. Pradeep Sharma, who is the practice head fraud risk management at Midcat Advisory Services Private Limited. He heads FRM practices at Midcat, a global provider of integrated security and risk mitigation solutions. He has over 11 years of experience in the field of risk management and has provided risk consulting support for most of the Fortune 500 companies. Pradeep has worked with prestigious risk consulting companies including Grant Thornton and Hill and Associates in the Risk Advisory Department. Pradeep was the key member of a team that drove security alignment for the global alcohol beverage major during the merger and acquisition of a large Indian entity. Prior to his corporate stint, he has been a part of the elite Indian Special Force and has been the forefront in the counter-terrorism operations in various districts of Jammu and Kashmir, Assam and Nagaland. So the stage is now set for a very important discussion. Now the panelists have a very varied background. They represent different aspects of the security in this area, and they are consultant with us. There are some users of that, some service providers, technology providers with us, and we can have a different, all the different perspective from them. What was requested to me by my colleague sitting here, that possibly we can have some discussions, and they can throw light on different aspects of it, more like in a discussion mode. So which I welcome, and I hope it will be very lively and insightful. Wherever some intervention will be needed, I will do that. So let me start with, say for, I think this is Ashwani, and can you set the ball rolling, and maybe you can tell us how you are going to handle.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Forum. I am from DHL Express, India. Before I start, I'll just mention the operation that DHL is undertaking, the complexity. Then I'll get on to the smart solution that you're looking for. Once we understand the complexity, we will get to know the gravity. We pick up, say, a parcel from a customer who is at his house, or we pick up parcel from a customer who is a prestigious company, big company. So we have got varied customers. We got India Post. Then all these things are picked up by road, brought to our facility, processed in our facility. Thereafter, then it goes to the hub or the gateway from where the customs are there. Now from customer to my facility, the regulator that I have to deal with are the Narcotics Control Bureau, the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, and the police. The moment it gets into the gateway, thereafter my regulator is the customs. From gateway, the parcels or the cargo which is there is taken over by the ground handling agents. From ground handling agents, it is now handed over to the airline. The airlines pick up. Now when it reaches the destination or the intermediate station, the same thing happens in the reverse. Airline to the ground handling agent to the DHL, and thereafter to the end receiver. Now this is the complexity in the whole, I will say, in courier industry. And whereas large supply chain providers who are there would also be facing almost similar, if not exact. So the risks which are there. The risk is, one is a company-centric risk, which I have. And these, I'm talking from the smart solutions. The risk is, my drivers are not smart. It's very clear. I mean, when I say my driver, it's all India. I'm talking about the trucking industry. You look at the drivers, they're not smart. They smartly know how to interfere with your smart systems. They can make them go off-road, they make them go faulty in no time, but they won't know how to use it. So one is that. The courier who is going has to be smart enough because he's handling a very smart scanner in his hand. That scanner is state of the art. It has got GPS, it has got all automated systems, it gets all alerts. He has to know what those alerts are, and he has to know what he has to do at the customer premises to pick up those parcels. Okay, this was as far as the company-centric was concerned. Coming to the customer-centric. Now this is my biggest risk. I have customers who are very honorable customers. They will send parcels what they declare they're sending. And I have some customers who are not so honorable. They would send drugs. They would try to send wildlife. They would,
Wildlife.
yeah, wildlife. Even in fact, DHL has also received some human organs. We'll come to that later. Now, all these things which are not supposed to be done are being done. And these people are getting wiser much faster than the other people. The e-commerce, the revolution which has come in, this revolution has brought in a lot of intelligence to these people, and they now know that they have a medium whereby they can send these things to international destinations. A company like DHL, which is present in 220 countries, they find a very easy conduit. They think that now the DHL is there, and thereafter they will send 10 shipments, they will lose 8, but 2 will go through, and they will make profit on that. But who is the end sufferer? End sufferer is the company like us, and the end sufferer is the consumer, or the society, I will say, whether it is at the destination or at the origin. Now, these are the complex situations that we are facing from the customer's point of view. Now, coming to the non-compliance risk, which I have already brought out, there are large number of non-compliances which can happen in our network if we are not smart enough, if we are not alert enough. Our job is to thwart these conditions. Our job is to ensure that the integrity of my network, integrity of the parcel, integrity of the cargo, as per law is maintained, which we are trying to do. And then is the environmental risk. Environmental risk is, it could be a route disruption, it could be a natural calamity, it could be anything. So we need a smart solution which could predict or which could tell me that if this has happened, this is the alternate route which is automatically happening. So just to sum up now, I would like to say that this is my view from the user perspective. I am not the smart solution provider, so I am giving my user perspective. And in that, I feel that ecosystem first needs to be smart enough, because only then supply chain system can be smart, because supply chain system is as smart as the people in it are. No more, no less. And with that, sir, I'll say thank you.
So very interesting, and very we got at least 4 such risk-related dimensions: the company-centric risk, the customer-centric risk, non-compliance, and environmental risk from a user of all this technology. So now let us talk. Let me hand over the mic to Bhabajit Nandi, who will give again a very different perspective altogether.
Thank you so much. Different, I don't know, but yes, I'll try to sound smarter because we're talking about smart supply chain. So I feel quite good about the fact that the panelists, the co-panelists who are there have worked with me for quite some time, and for the past around 8 to 9 years from the time I was with Nokia. When we were in Nokia and now when I'm in Microsoft, we are primarily dealing in goods, in high technology goods, which can be stolen and which can be sold off faster than gold. These are goods which are useful to a child from 3 years to 80 and maybe more. Today, we are selling our goods in the every nook of and town of the country. And in that regard, prior to this, when we had our operations in India, we then moved to Hanoi, and I will just give you a small comparison about how the things have changed, and in that I will try to explain to you what is the potential of smart supply chain. So in 2012, Nokia moved its operations to Vietnam in Hanoi, and we started our manufacturing there. And initially we used to have an inventory of roughly around 20 million. We used to work with roughly around 30 odd suppliers. And of course, we used to have our regular domestic and international logistics service providers who we have worked with. In a span of 1 year, after unfortunately our operations had to be suspended in India, we had inventory value of close to 650 million being stored, being ramped up in a period of around 6 to 8 months. We currently manufacture roughly around 5 lakh phones a day. We handle close to around 3.2 billion components in a month, and there's roughly around 600 part codes, and if I talk about suppliers, it's more than around 3,000 suppliers, sub-suppliers, ODMs, and OEMs. I'm giving you these figures because it helps you to understand about the huge potential which is there. And along with potential come the risks. And if I talk about risks, and I talk about the risk scenario, I think that has also tremendously changed in the past couple of years. I used to be very proud about the fact that we never used to have major crimes or major supply chain security related crimes happening in India. But in the recent past, if any of you can think about one major incident which happened in Delhi NCR relating to truck hijacking, can you think of anything? One incident. So I will talk about that. It was relating to one of our competitors where they were trying to move spares and accessories to their hub, and that was just before the launch of one of their very prestigious models. It was inventory worth around 4.2 million, and from the time it left the airport to the time it was reaching the warehouse in Noida, it was almost hijacked. Thankfully, due to the foolishness of the people, the staff who were driving the trucks, and the people who were involved, the hijacked load was confiscated, and a major supply chain disruption which could have happened was averted. The reason why I tell you about this is because in the recent years, we have seen incidents related to truck hijackings, relating to attempted robberies where people figuring as policemen have tried to hijack trucks, they have tried to kill people, they have tried to steal away entire truckloads. So gradually and quite consistently, the risk is increasing. Also because of the fact that today we are, when we have the metropolitan cities kind of saturating when we talk about the demand, we are now trying to move to the smaller cities. We are now trying to move to the geographies where the crime levels are much higher. Today we are trying to go to emerging countries where the risk levels are much higher. And there it comes, there we are also talking about multimodal transportation. And when we talk about multimodal transportation, we also face problems relating to the tracking and tracing of our devices. We used to face a very peculiar problem which I call as the act of God. I call them act of God is because from the time our shipments used to leave our factory and to the time when it used to reach the customers, it used to be absolutely spick and span. There would be no damages, there would be no tampering. But when you would open them, we would either find empty cartons or we would find cartons filled with bricks and filled with all various kind of things, but the phones which were usually transported. We tried to bring in innovative solutions relating to tracking. So now all our suppliers are expected to use GPS trucks. We try to have suppliers who only are certified in terms of the operations relating to TAPA TSR. So TAPA TSR stands for Truck Security Requirements, and we talk about FSR, wherein our goods are stored in TAPA certified warehouses. Whether that is solving the problem or not, I do not know. And the reason and the potential is because I was just checking the numbers with Herdial. So in a country of the size of India, we have roughly around 25 companies, 25 members who are TAPA certified, and roughly around 13 logistic companies who are trained on TAPA TSR requirements. So huge potential there. And also because of that, I see a huge potential for the smart supply chain industry. And maybe relating to that, I think Herdial could share some more light about how things are relating to the losses which are occurring.
Thanks, Nandi. Basically, the standards in the smart supply chain, before I start touching on that, something that bothers me about smart supply chain, do we I mean, every time we roll out something, have we gone back to the customer and verified the customer requirements? We can make the supply chain smart. We can make things moving the logistic from one side to the other side smarter, better technology to get things done. But is that what the customer wants? I was talking to Ashwani just now regarding shipments coming to your home. Like, you know, if you buy something from maybe Apple, for example, when the thing is being delivered to your place, because Apple will negotiate a decent price with the logistic provider now has to be smarter, find the cheapest option, try and get the product to you, because that's what you did when you bought the Apple product. But because of the changes in the supply chain, because they're trying to get smarter, trying to use the best, cheapest way to get it to you, you'll find that it may inconvenience the customer compared to what it was previously. Now, if the shipment is delivered to you at the time that you are not at home, guess what? They cannot deliver it based on their requirement that they used to. Because of the cost factor involved, of being the technology being smarter, you now have to rely on what the logistic provider have to respond to based on the requirement. So again, getting smart is one thing, but making sure we're understanding customer requirement is also another thing. All right? Talking about losses and the standards we have on supply chain, there are many logistic standards out there. The main one, industry-driven, is the ISO 28000:2007, which is the supply chain a management system for supply chain security. It's a very good system. It's like a ISO 9000 system, but it relates to supply chain security. But again here, the take-up for it in most industries is lacking. Why? Again, customer requirements. Coming down to TAPA is another requirement out there, but the uptake for TAPA is much higher because the manufacturers make it a requirement for logistic providers to have the TAPA requirements in place. There are two major TAPA requirements in place. One is the TAPA facility security requirement, and the other one is the trucking security requirement. In both of them, what TAPA have done recently, what TAPA have done all these years is make the system, make their standards, what I would say is scalable. Based on the risk level you have, you choose the level of security you need. So example, if we pick a facility security requirement, if your risk is high, you'll pick the highest security level. If your risk is low, you'll pick a lower security level. Nandi made a point earlier about selecting different countries. So example, if you do business in a country where risk is lower, thefts are lower, you would pick a lower security level even though you store the same high level of inventory in there. So again, these security requirements are scalable. The trucking security requirement works in the same way. If you're transporting a high value of inventory in your trucks, you'll have a higher security level dependent on the country you're in. Just because you're operating, say, maybe out of India, your security requirement may be different from, say, operating out of a country like Malaysia, where the hijacking levels are much higher. All right? So TAPA is a scalable standard. So it's a standard that manufacturers, customers tend to impose on their logistic provider to say, you need to have such a standard in place based dependent on the risk. So is that what you call smart, when the customer decides to choose something which will be beneficial to their customers? So why would you pick sort of a higher level of security requirement when there is no requirement for it? Right? So that's what the standards are. While the ISO 28000 is a standard where the company themselves have to decide the kind of system they want to put in place based on the risk assessment they do. Again, there's no input from a customer that tells them what they need to do. Right?
One thing which I would like to add out here, in addition to what Herdial was saying, especially in the high-tech industry, one problem which we face, if I give a specific example relating to our company, we deal in a lot of prototype shipments. So we generally use different type of technologies where we can move the goods in a safe, secure manner. And one of the safest ways is, of course, hand carry. But then we look to smart solutions. And one of the smart solutions which was provided to us was this electronic cargo secure box, wherein you have a login ID and a password, and nobody but the user, who has the login user and the password, can open it. So it comes all the way safe and secure to the Delhi airport, and once it reaches the Delhi airport, the customs would ask us to open it in front of them. So the entire secrecy which we had tried to maintain was lost at the time when it reached there. So maybe we need to look kind of innovative solutions where we do not face problems and challenges relating to it. The second thing which I would also like to highlight is relating to the sharing of data. Many a times we are very keen to get information or data or statistics relating to the kind of crimes, relating to the kind of incidents which are occurring. Unfortunately, that kind of incidents sharing or data sharing is not very forthcoming, at least in India as of now. So if you, considering the kind of devices or the products you deal in, if you can come up to us to say some of the success stories wherein you were able to probably save the losses, or you were able to detect or apprehend the criminals, or maybe get the product safe and sound in a faster and a secure way, that would be useful. So maybe that is a solution which we'll be looking at.
So very nice input as far as the standards are concerned, and I'm sure more awareness would be needed in this, and more training would be needed in this area, especially in our country, and that can help us a lot. Now I would like to listen to Mr. Pradeep Sharma ji, who is the practicing head of the fraud risk management in Midcat Advisory. Sir.
If I look at the perspective of a security consultant, I would focus on a few challenges from at organizational level. Before that, I would like to share with you a few interesting stories which we came across while conducting risk assessment assignments at our client places. We were doing a risk assessment of one of our multinational client, and in a remote part of eastern India, and that multinational client, they were doing some job for a big Indian company. While doing that risk assessment, we found that there was major gaps in security setup of that Indian company, and somehow we got in touch with the manufacturing head, the guy who used to draw a salary of more than 3-4 crores, and we put across our thoughts. We told him that the situation of security is so worse. The kind of response we got from that guy was amazing. He said, "Acha," I'm telling the same words. He reacted like, "Acha, okay, main sambhal lunga." So everybody in India, I mean not everybody, but most of the guy, they have an inbuilt security guard, security manager into them. So if we talk about security or security related issue, any security related issue, if you go to an Indian company, most of the time we get the similar kind of response. So in this forum, I would like to highlight few challenges which I have seen in securities, supply chain security. Is one, our understanding of supply chain security. Number 2, our investment, and third is our approach to security, supply chain security. So if we talk about understanding, every guy has his own understanding about security. A person who is managing a site, he has his own understanding of security. He would like to protect his assets more. Protect assets, like he will be more focused on building security, their warehouse security, their logistic security, and similarly the person who is managing logistic or warehouse, they are focused on their particular job. There is lack of coordination among different stakeholders. So this is one of the major challenge which I could see. And second, so the second part, investment, is directly related to this point. See, because we don't understand the actual problem, we don't plan accordingly, and the investment goes haywire. Investment, so what happens actually, somewhere we do over investment, and at some areas we do under investment. So our approach to security we talk about. See, if we talk about see, I'll give you an example of a company, steel manufacturer. They have one of their plant in Maharashtra. So a lot of material was काफी material movement होता था उनके factory से, and it used to be so. We were doing one of assignment in that company, and we found that काफी ट्रक्स आते थे जाते थे. वो एक ट्रक आया विद 200 kg ऑफ लोड्स, रिजेक्ट हुआ, वापस गया, वापस वेंडर के पास गया. 10 दिन बाद 15 दिन बाद वही ट्रक वापस आया, and he got and that truck was accepted. The same number, same material, everything was same. So my point is, are we actually investing at the right point? I mean, if we are investing in building security, we are keep investing in building security, but nobody is focused on the processes, security processes, and linking those processes, linking the different departments accordingly. So the बाद में जब we look at the matter, we saw that, and then we actually we suggested that you should do a fraud risk assessment also for your security process, for your processes. So these are the few this thing.
Okay, Pradeep, just to say, you should prepare your customer to adopt the TAPA framework because it gives a proper, complete end-to-end solution for facility, and you have an end-to-end for security. And the investment is also controlled. It is telling you exactly what the performance of the security system is supposed to do, rather than number of cameras, number of alarm systems. It tells you what the performance of the systems are supposed to be.
Yeah, I understand, but in an organization where manufacturing head is looking to do a security guard's job, how it is pretty difficult to suggest them on. Yeah.
So I would like to understand from you, how does smart supply chain help in the security and business continuity related risks? Would wanted to check with you. You being familiar with that.
Oh.
Yes.
In fact, my take on this would be that, see, the security aspects that mainly what we are talking right now pertains to the physical security of the resources or infrastructure, whatever that has.
Including electronic security.
Okay.
Besides that,
all ERP,
complete to ERP, also
Not only
information security.
Information security, yes. So the canvas is quite big, because the way we are handling the security of the physical system or the fraud and the way information security, I mean the expertise are different. This is quite obvious. As far as supply chain is concerned, the smart devices basically can help us in capturing the data. Analytics, as we had been discussing, can help because a lot of data is generated every minute, and we can use the analytics to analyze that. Also look at the problem in the supply chain is that whatever we are doing, the planning, it's for some little ahead of the time. So past data is basically a basis for future decisions. So we really need analytics to to bridge this gap, because the data that we have pertains to the past events that has taken place. Maybe there's something like fraud or something has happened. Now, those data need to be analyzed and thrown into the future. Some scenario is to be built up, some simulation has to be done, and based on the possible scenarios, what are the things that we need to do so that the security can be managed.
So generally when the industry is making innovations relating to smart devices, do you try to consult to any kind of a repository which is available about supply chain, incidents, crimes, requirements? So is there any kind of a data repository also which you refer to?
Yes, we have to do, but whether it is integrated with the smart devices or not, I am not sure about it, but anyway, the decisions related to that requires some data in terms of the past experiences related to that. It cannot happen anyway otherwise.
Wouldn't the smart supply chain make sure that you don't rely on past data, you rely on the current data? For example, everything is current, telling you that your trucks are moving safely, your facilities are safe. So in a way, to become smarter, I think relying on past data is a thing of the past. I think we need to move forward that your data being provided today is current. Any issue out of exception is immediately escalated, immediately reported, and immediately addressed.
See, basically you are very right. But the issue here is that there are two aspects to the whole thing. One, that one is the risk assessment. Second is your preparedness to handle the risk, and the third is the mitigation. These are three important components. Now, as far as your preparedness is concerned, it's like an earthquake. You can't do much when the earthquake takes place. You have to prepare before it happens. So anything like that also requires.
Even there, the data also helps.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm just connecting. Same thing I want to say. So first of all, you have to build up an architecture where you are in a position to handle the current scenario. And very rightly pointed out by Mr. Herdial that basically smart devices are so well integrated that the current data is available to you and whatever is happening is known to you. But if you have the system in place, maybe you can mitigate the risk better. But he is very right that smart devices are helps us in capturing the present scenario. In a real-time mode, one can really manage these risks better. But I still will like to emphasize that just getting the current scenario, you cannot solve the problem. For solving the problem, you should have the system in place. And how will you understand what system is right for you? For doing that, you have to analyze the past.
Agree.
I think one thing which is very essentially required in India is currently more of adherence to the standards which is there. And I see that is something which has been quite significantly lacking. If I would talk about various companies or even some of our sub-suppliers we talk about, or suppliers we talk about, whenever we talk to them about, today for example, if anybody needs to work with us, they need to be certified as per either CTPAT or as per TAPA or as per AEO. But today when we talk about that, their systems may be certified, but when they are eventually sourcing out their activities to their sub-suppliers, their processes, their systems are not. So again, it is the case of the weakest link. So we need to have a uniformity, and I think that is where the standardization would certainly help. And I think standardization also, I think Herdial, this is something which you would need to look into. The current provisions which are there in the TSR, the truck security requirements, they should, I think, have more of requirements, provision and guidelines relating to these smart devices being there in the fleets, in the various operations and the other containers which are carried by them.
I mean, you touched about the trucking security requirement. Yes, in the level 1, the smart devices are being exploited to make sure that the tracking system is in place, Any what do you call it, non-compliance is immediately reported, reacted on, rather than something that is of the past. Level 2 is slightly lower security, but still it is about the current information, how they react to current information. Coming to level 3, okay, level 3, archival information is there in case you have a loss for investigation purposes, and you can actually narrow down where the loss happened. So again, TAPA standards are scalable, and they're using smart devices based on the customer requirements. Because it is not fair for a company to say, I'm going to have the highest level of security when the customer only want to pay a small amount of money for the same product. So it is dependent on, all these cost money. Standards cost money. So if anybody has a misconception that standards are free and cheap, no, standards is all about money, because you need a structured processes, structured system, about training people, about making sure you have the right products in place, training the people to use the products, training people to interpret the results. All these come into play.
Very rightly said about interpretation by the people who are going to be managing these systems. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm sure that a lot more awareness is needed in our industry as far as these standards are concerned, and persons like you can help a lot in terms of training them.
So today when we talk about these installation of these GPS devices, so if you would ask the truck driver where the device is, he would exactly know where it is there, and it is going to be at a place which is most easily visible. So having the systems in place does not